Alright, so let's go ahead and graph. We're going to find the period is the first thing we're going to do. So if I'm doing the problem like this, I'm going to write the equation with the variables above it. And the reason why I do that is so you can identify the parts. For example, class, your b value is equal to 1. So step 1, I'm going to find the period. I'm going to use the equation 2 pi over b. So 2 pi over 1 is just 2 pi. My period is 2 pi. The graph is going to finish by 2 pi. Nice increments, 3, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so we found our period. The second thing I need to do is I have these 4 intervals. Count with me. Ready, set, go. These are the 4 intervals. Okay. Now I need to have numbers here. So in order to find the numbers, pay attention. Some students have found that this is the most difficult part. If you think about it, I just need to find half of 2 pi. That becomes what, class? Pay attention. I need to find half, or a midpoint, from pi to 0. That's just going to be pi over 2. Pay attention. This is like 50% of the graph. This is 100% of the graph. So 25, 50, 75%, 100%. So to get 75%, it's 25% plus 50%. So essentially pi over 2 plus 2 pi over 2 gives me 3 pi over 2. And over here I have 0 pi. So my 4 intervals are here. And I'm just using the midpoint to find those. Or just dividing in half and adding. Okay? So step number 2, I found the 4 intervals. Step number 3 now is we're going to find 5 points. We're going to find 5 points. In order to do that, I'm going to draw a sideways table. And the x values that I'm going to write here come from my x-axis. So 0 pi, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to find sine of x. Well, think back to the quadrantals. At 0, sine is 0. Sine at pi over 2 is 1. Sine at pi is here. So you're eventually just going to memorize those numbers. But at least remember it comes from the quadrantals of your unit circle. The second thing I'm going to do here is, this one says sine of x. Now I'm going to multiply my answer by 2. So I'm going to take all of my answers and just multiply it by 2. 2 times 0 is 0.
2, 0, negative 2, 0.
Now on my graph, I'm going to have, it's nice if you have graph paper. If you don't, you're looking for evenly spaced increments. So negative 1, negative 2. And I want to graph the parent function first. So here's the parent function at 0 pi, 0. Pi over 2 is 1. pi is 0, 3 pi over 2 is negative 1, and 2 pi is 0. So here is our parent function. And the sinusoidal graph is going to be a smooth curve. And now I'm going to go ahead and graph our new function, 2 times sine of x. So at 0 pi, I'm going to have 0. And at pi over 2, now I have 2, 0, negative 2, and 0. So, I got my 5 points. I graphed my points. Now the question is more. Now over here, it tells me just to graph it over 0 to 2 pi. If I ask you to graph it, say, going in this direction, let's just say 0 to 4 pi, you would basically just repeat all of these steps. What would you do? I would just take my finger and move it along. The next point, I would just move it up to 2, and then moving it over. Or if I went in this direction, I would graph it at negative 2. Now, here I have a, how would you describe this on your graph? A maximum. How about down here? How about these points? X-intercepts. Do you see them? You have 3 of them. And then you can do all the things that we've done before, like where is it increasing, where is it decreasing. You could talk about the domain, you could talk about the range, you could talk about reflections. So this is how I graphed y equals 2 times sine of x. Yellow is my parent function, and green is my new function.